want to talk about tonight. So tonight's topic of what I want to cover is the three things I want to cover tonight is basically what it's about is three things you must know about your current automobile lease. So a lot of people are wondering like, hey, what are three things that I need to know about my current automobile lease? This whole Facebook Live tonight came to me an idea because of a conversation I had earlier today with somebody that lives in my building. So you know, if I look away from the cameras because I'm looking at my other camera because I'm doing Facebook Live and YouTube Live at the same time. So we're dual live streaming this video. So anyhow, let me know if you guys are tuning in just now. Let me know where you're watching at in the comments, and let's jump right into the video. So here we go. So three things you must know about your current lease. Number one, and this all came from my neighbor when she told me what was going on with her current lease. And this all, if you don't drive a whole lot of miles, this will definitely apply to you to learn something about your lease vehicle. Chris, what's going on? So here, let me break it down to you. So first thing you want to find out is a lot of people don't realize you may have what's called equity in your lease. How would you possibly have equity in your lease? Let's say you have a 3-year lease, and this 3-year lease is say you're halfway through the lease. Let's say you're in the last year of a 3-year lease. So you were supposed to drive, say, 15,000 miles a year. You only drove, 5,000 miles a year. So you have maybe 10, 15,000 miles on that vehicle. You're at the end of the lease, and most of the time you would probably turn in the vehicle thinking you don't have any equity. What I've discovered is a couple people that I know, they're just like, hey, I want to turn in my vehicle, and they just took the vehicle. Well, if you drove less miles than what you originally calculated you were going to drive, what happens is you may find yourself in an equitable position. So I'll kind of break it down for you here. So just think of it this way here, without me having to get a flip chart out and break it down that way. So basically, if a lease is just like another way to finance a vehicle. So if you're in the last year of the lease, you've got maybe 6 months left to go, and you were thinking about getting out of the lease early, here's what you need to find out is you need to actually call the lease company and get what's called a dealer payoff on the vehicle. So say the vehicle's payoff is $15,000, excuse me, $12,000. For the example, let's use $12,000. You were allowed 15,000 miles per year. Your car only has 12,000 miles on it. You're coming to the end of the lease. Since you drove less miles than what the leasing company originally anticipated, the actual value of your vehicle would be worth more than what they predicted the value to be. So the predicted value, the 3-year value in the future is called the residual value. So the lease company estimates the vehicle to have a certain value at the end of 3 years based upon how many miles, 45,000 miles 3 years later. So they think the vehicle is probably going to be worth $12,000. Let's say right now your payoff is around $12,000, but the actual market value of the vehicle, its actual trade value, let's say it's $14,000. You have $2,000 of equity in that lease. You can use that equity to roll over to your next lease, or decide you're not going to lease another vehicle, you're going to Uber everywhere, you're moving out of the country or something like that. You may find yourself with, a couple $1,000s of equity. You can cash out that equity when you go to turn in the car, or you can turn in the lease early and such. So a lot of people don't realize you could be riding around with some equity. Tell you, my neighbor told me a story, and I didn't want to make her feel bad because the decision she made a few years ago. Well, here's what had happened: is she had traded in a vehicle that was paid off, a completely paid off vehicle that they gave her $8,000 for. She wound up getting a Honda Accord. When she got the Honda Accord, she got a nice low payment. So it was like a $200 payment on a, $25,000, $26,000 car. Sounds good. It's very attractive, but you got that $200 payment because you applied so much equity down on the vehicle. Little tip when you lease a car, don't put a lot of cash down. Matter of fact, mostly when you lease a car, you should be able to get away with putting $0 down. It should be just a sign and drive. First month's payment would be due usually at signing, but most of the time you can negotiate that into the deal, out of the deal, however you want to do it. But you should just be able to sign and drive off of that vehicle. If you're coming to the table with no trade, no money, it should be just a clean, easy, comparative deal. And of course, I'm getting a little off subject about shopping the deal. You can shop it that way by just saying, hey, I'm getting a brand new Toyota Camry. It's got a $26,000 MSRP. My payments with no money down, sign and drive, $279 a month, including tax, a new plate and everything. So that's a comparison. That's not really what I'm talking about tonight. But what I'm talking about was knowing what the payoff is on the vehicle, finding out what the current market value of the vehicle. Now you can have the vehicle appraised from the dealership, or you can go on to Kelley Blue Book, put your vehicle, evaluate the property, find out what the trade value of the vehicle is. Hey, I do believe the trade is, it's this much. I do believe, the Kelley Blue Book says the trade value is at $14,000. If it's at $14,000, use that as a guideline. If the payoff is 12, as I said, you got a little bit of equity in the vehicle. Come to find out, if you did drive all the miles of the lease and, it needs some tires, it's got some wear to it, then basically you drove exactly what the lease company had predicted. You drove it to 45,000 miles, and 3 years later, they estimated the vehicle worth $12,000. It's a percentage of what the vehicle was brand new. So say the MSRP was $26,000. They figured the residual value to be, 45%, so 26,000 times 45%. So $11,700. So basically $12,000, like I said. So that's how leases. What the payoff is. A lot of people, you may be surprised. I had a Lexus a couple of years ago. It was an IS 250, and I only had the lease for a year, and I was allowed 12,000 miles. I was tracking a little heavy in the miles. I had like 16,000 miles on it. So what I did was I went to the dealer. Of course, I knew the dealer stuff. I appraised the vehicle. I knew I had equity in it because the residual was pretty. The residual was pretty high on the vehicle. So I knew the value of the vehicle was pretty high, and my payoff was fairly low. So I called the leasing company, got the dealer payoff on the vehicle. Now, somebody asked me, my neighbor had asked me, what's the difference between a customer payoff and a dealer payoff? The difference is going to be sales tax. A dealer's not going to pay sales tax on the vehicle because they're just a pass-through for the vehicle. So, Tina, your question is that with excellent credit? That zero down. I'm coming at the end of my lease. Tina, I'm just don't hold my feet to the fire. I'm not a current Toyota dealer. I just see what they advertise on television down here in Florida. Tina, where are you watching from? Let me know where you're watching from. Mike, Marla, I know where you're at. Peter, hey guys, let me know where you guys are watching from. Hit me up in the comments so I know what you guys where you guys are streaming from. But yeah, that's a good question, Tina. I would actually probably check with your local dealer, and just to kind of keep them honest, call 3 dealerships, find out what the lease payment is on that Camry I was using an example of. $279 sounds about right. California, all right, good stuff. Love California. Actually, we spent some time out there a couple years ago. So yeah, we spent 3 weeks in California. My wife and I drove the whole West Coast, I-5, all the way down from Seattle. So, but anyhow, yeah, you could probably want to check with your local dealers out there in California, Tina, and see what it is. But nationally, it's probably right around, it's less than $300 a month. Brand new 2018 Camry. Right now is a good time of year to do that. As I said, I am not sponsored or plugging anything for Toyota or any of those guys. I would love to be, but I'm not. So I'm just doing this out of just knowledge that I want to share with people that are on my Facebook, people that are on my YouTube. I forgot to start my Instagram live camera, but I'll do that next time on Sunday. We'll get that rolling. So anyhow, so hopefully some of this stuff was useful. Number one, 3 things you need to know about the lease, like it says in the title. Know what your residual value is. So the day you lease the vehicle, they told you, hey, it's going to be worth $11,700, call it $12,000. Thank you guys for all the likes. And then know what your current payoff is right now. Just simply call the leasing company. If it's a Honda, you call Honda Finance. If it's a BMW Finance USA, whichever the leasing company, whatever the manufacturer is, usually that's who the lease is through. Sometimes Chevy, maybe be through Ally or something like that, maybe a different company other than Chevy. But find out what that payoff is. So you got residual, you find out what the payoff is, and then most importantly, the third thing is find out what the current market value of the vehicle is. You can check Kelley Blue Book. If you want to take it a little bit a step further, you can bring it by the dealership and see what the value is, and just to keep everybody on target. What I would do, if there's a CarMax near you, pull in a CarMax, man. Takes them like 15, 20 minutes to give you an appraisal. Just tell them, hey, I'm thinking about trading in my car. What would you guys give me on trade? You don't need to tell them that. You're just trying to keep people honest. But I mean, that's what they do. Those guys at CarMax, they will evaluate a car for you, no charge. It's a nice service. It kind of gives you a true idea of what the market's willing to pay in the car. So you have a Toyota Highlander, you love it, good deal. Good to be in the Toyota family there, Tina. I appreciate that. As some of you guys may know that watch my YouTube lives, I spent 20 years as a car dealer for Toyota. And I like to share with you guys automotive tips and such, some life tips, anything I can do to help out. But anyhow, I'll be back Sunday night with another Facebook Live with another topic covering something that's important to people, something that you guys can see some value out of. If you like this video, please be sure to give me some likes and some love. And a lot of you guys watching, I gave you some love. If you guys are watching this on the replay, if you got any questions, just hit me up in the comments. I always respond to my comments and everything. So other than that, hopefully you guys get some value out of this. We'll see you in the next video.